Today I have a very exciting video to share with evidence that GE is a partner with Palantir. I will run through the evidence provided to me by a fan of the channel, Kris Patel, and explain why and how it could be a client of PLTR, as well as if there could be a multi-year million-dollar contract in the works yet to be announced between these two companies. Let's go. So as I said, credit to Kris Patel on this information. He provided the evidence here. There's a very interesting development that just happened this month that no one is talking about, and he's referring to this article here. The headline is Airbus's Aviation Digital Alliance welcomes GE Digital. So we know that Airbus works with Palantir for Skywise, but the fact that their digital alliance is welcoming a new partner, being GE Digital, has something to say all on its own. The Aviation Digital Alliance, an Airbus and Delta Tech Ops partnership established in 2019, welcomed GE Digital. By incorporating the technology giant, the alliance will boost its capabilities to develop data analytics for aircraft systems, airlines, and maintenance operations. The addition will also benefit the 140 commercial airlines of the Skywise core data platform as carriers return to normal operations. So it's worth stopping right here and pointing out the total network effect lock-ins that Palantir creates almost naturally with its platforms. So we're talking about Skywise right here. Working with 140 commercial airlines means that those airlines need to be able to plug and play into whatever Skywise is doing as a data platform. It's just another way of thinking about the network effects and how they will continue to expand when any sort of other data needs to be added. And they say they are happy to welcome GE's industry-leading predictive analytics will now provide even greater value from the multitude of airlines worldwide already connected to the Skywise core platform. These airlines will soon benefit from the even more powerful nose-to-tail and cross-fleet digital solutions. So this is a lot here, but it's also a Mexican business news article, which I understand now is a little more far removed from our news cycle here in America, and perhaps why it went a little unnoticed. But just as we saw with Microsoft buying into a Wejo SPAC and then ultimately partnering with Palantir, I think this is definitely something similar, and I do think Kris is onto something here. The bottom line being that GE Digital is joining the Aviation Digitalk Alliance, aka Skywise plus Palantir. He says how a lot of the industrial use cases can be built upon the Foundry platform outside of Skywise, and GE Digital works hand in hand with GE's industrial divisions like aerospace, trains, power plants, and healthcare devices. We know that Palantir is very interested in every vertical there is, pretty much. They've talked about aerospace before, healthcare we've heard a lot about. That's going to be a big focus in the future. So Kris is drawing the connection that GE Digital is not just about this aviation alliance. Working with GE, the industrial division, is really something much bigger. So if Palantir Foundry ends up partnering with them to build out a portfolio similar to how Airbus works with the airlines, it could be huge for Palantir. Kris saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Palantir is trying to work on something with GE. So you might not think that was enough evidence for this, just this digital alliance here. Well, luckily enough, we have some additional evidence for this idea. Again, credit to Kris here. He said, I'm really excited for a partnership with GE since they're involved in very many industries that require continuous monitoring and data modeling optimization, which we know Palantir is all about. They're the equivalent of Airbus when it comes to the use of their machinery, and that really is huge. We know how successful Airbus has been, and the more Palantir can get those types of operations set up, the better they can demonstrate their core technology power, and the better the business will do as a result of that. So again, everything from healthcare, power generation, and aerospace. We have a forward deployed architect at Palantir Technologies with a background in working in GE for 2 years and Lockheed Martin, and then moving on to GE Research once again for a much longer period of time. Then on to Palantir as a forward deployed architect. Now, what is a forward deployed architect? A forward deployed architect is actually a much more senior position to a forward deployed engineer, for example. You will own relationships with our technical counterparts and serve as an interface between Palantir deployment teams and customer IT organizations. So basically, forward deployed architects work with groups of forward deployed engineers, and they are much more familiar with the technicalities and the knowledge of whatever they are involved in. They require 5+ years of industry experience in a role that requires rigorous technical aptitude and understanding. So we just saw from before That is definitely the case, since this forward deployed architect had been working for years on R&D and the IoT side. So Kris included in a note that he could be working to integrate Foundry into their equipment monitoring service that GE sells, much like Airbus selling initiating services using the Palantir platform in the form of Skywise. So I definitely put a lot of weight in this connection here. But I do also have one more thing to share, which is actually a short little video from GE on their aviation software. Here it is, and I'll be back with some closing thoughts.
The aviation industry carries in excess of 4.5 billion passengers annually, with roughly 100,000 commercial flights per day, and is expected to generate 6 million terabytes of data in 2030. GE Digital puts aviation data to work to produce insights that enable customers to enhance operator safety and efficiency, reduce operational disruptions, improve passenger experience, and streamline mission effectiveness. Our portfolio is purpose-built for aviation, with solutions that collect and transfer data to enable applications that track and visualize data to yield powerful insight, and solutions that analyze data and offer actionable recommendations. Partnership is at the core of our business, not just with our customers, but also with the best in technology and aviation.
And so you just saw the clip I wanted you to see, but there's also another one that popped up in recommendation because this is also a GE video. Meet a digital twin. This is GE talking about a digital twin, something that Palantir is very involved and invested in 2016. So while they might not have been partners in 2016, they're definitely thinking along the same lines. And this perhaps could be leading to a very good strategic partnership. So I'm very much looking forward to when this could possibly be announced. If there are multiple forward deployed engineers working at GE, that means they likely have Palantir Foundry set up in some capacity. I've talked about the Palantir Flywheel before. This is one from one of my prior videos earlier this year, with the attract, engage, and deliver, as I call it, a variation of what Palantir does. So they need to attract the client first and entice the prospective client, which it appears Palantir already has done. Now they're engaging on the onboarding process, and they're trying to onboard existing clients that they've already enticed. So this is where I think Palantir stands with their forward deployed engineers and architect. They're trying to onboard GE and see how it goes. So there's no guarantee that this will continue on to delivering on whatever they are promising in a potential contract and generating the results. But I do think they're somewhere in between these two stages. Again, we've seen in the past where Palantir is not required or not even allowed to disclose a partnership, and they've said as much. But if I had to guess, Palantir is trying to onboard GE, and we'll see how that goes. So it might be a little too early to say what sort of size the contract would be, but this would be huge if Palantir can get it. No doubt, multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract would be enormous for the business. So what do you think about this, and what do you think about the evidence? Until next time.